What is going on, YouTube? PPS back. It is past the prop time for you guys. Our Friday show, NFL Week 10 edition already. Joined by my guy Stu. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just posted our StreamYard link on Pickett, so I got to go delete that real quick. Trying to start the show, sent the wrong link. You know how it goes. Been a hectic day so far, but honestly, doing this show every Friday is one of my favorite things of the week. I love sitting back, talking football, getting out these props. I know we've got a bunch of great stuff today, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. All my other problems, are getting out the way because we're gonna have a nice 4-0 show here today.
Football definitely has been our spot so far this year. Obviously, we did pretty well last year, but this year's numbers are definitely going our way. On a nice little four show winning streak here. Those are the numbers. 70 plays already, man. I can't believe we're already over halfway through the football season. Fantasy football stuff coming down to the wire here. Obviously, getting into the stretch run. But yeah, extra week this year as well. So make sure we obviously count for that. That's going to be tough for my fantasy team. But do you have anybody playing on Thursday night?
Did I? No, thankfully not. Right. I mean, that was kind of a disgusting game right there. So glad to stay out the way right there. Yeah, nothing yet.
Yeah, I had Foreman in 2 of 3 leagues, which was nice. That was a good 21 pointer to start. And then obviously I had Cordero in 1 league in the 16-team league, which obviously didn't go too well. Don't know really what's going on with that team at all. They had him returning kicks and then just didn't run them in the game. That was just so weird to me.
Well, yeah, and two, I know my friend was one Algier carry away, right? My roommate was. We were watching yesterday, and Avery Williams gets a handoff on the final drive or so. It's like, really? Avery Williams is coming out? Like, yeah, absolute shit show on both sides right there. So it's going to be a hard avoid moving forward for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I mean, you can only really touch the running backs, and yet you still got 4 of them back there, which is extremely frustrating. But yeah, Foreman, what a game. Again, he's just been an absolute workhorse for that Panthers team now with the McCaffrey departure. So, yeah, it was a good pickup. I was very happy to grab him in multiple 20-point games. I think 3 out of his last 4 20-pointers. All righty. We got some guys in the chat. 20 of you guys. I actually did it YouTube exclusive today. No Twitter, right? We don't have our live Twitter one. So all you guys over on YouTube, we got 20 of you guys in here in the first 3 minutes. We appreciate you. Let's take a look. We got Dan in here tuning in. I think he'll like one of the plays that we got on the show here. We got Steve popping in here as well. Freakier Bowl 7. First parlay ever. Congrats, man. That's a awesome start. Obviously, we don't do too many parlays here besides our touchdown parlay, which I do really like today. But yeah, I'm happy for you, and hopefully you keep making money with us. Turbo popping in here as well. Awesome to see. But yeah, we haven't done any NFL this week at all. So this is really the first look. As always, what are the 2 games? What is the big screen? What is the laptop game for you this week? Obviously, there's a few buys, not too many, but some decent totals out there.
Yeah, I can't scapegoat my Washington answer this week. We're on prime time, so I'll obviously get that game, all to myself a little bit later on Monday. There's some good games. There's some sneaky good games, maybe not the biggest teams in the world, but I'm excited for Browns Dolphins. I think that's going to be my big screen game. Dolphins offense has been absolutely electric. I know you know this. We've cashed Tyreek Hill now in back-to-back weeks on the show right here. They're just really fun to watch, and I think it's going to be one of those matchups where I don't know if either team is really going to be able to stop each other on the defensive end too much. So I just think there's going to be plenty of offense, plenty of points right there. So I'm excited for that one 100%.
What is the small one? Or is that just you're thinking towards prime time in the Washington game?
Yeah, I would say not just because of some of the props on here, but maybe Bears Lions could be a nice tune in. It doesn't deserve the big screen. Neither of these teams are really playing for much, but I want to check in on Justin Fields. I want to check in on Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, some of my fantasy guys. So that'll be a good one. I think another high scoring game as well.
Yeah, no, mine is one that I guarantee you weren't looking at here at all. My first one I want to see is Tennessee Denver. I want to
Ugh.
watch that game. The only reason I want to watch that game is because I want to see what Russell Wilson does here because you cannot run the ball on the Titans. They literally just showed you cannot run on them. So what are you going to do with a spot where they've been running the ball like 55, like 60% of the time here? What are they going to do? Like, are you going to let Russ finally try to cook? Right? I mean, you have the addition of Dulcich now, which is very, very important. That dude is a beast. So I'm curious how that's going to go. That is definitely the smaller screen there. And then I have a tie between the Rams, Cardinals, and the Packers, Cowboys. The only reason I want to watch the Packers, Cowboys is for me just to. I don't even care if they win the rest of the year. Just beat the Cowboys, beat McCarthy in Lambeau, dude. People be throwing shit at him because he's a bum, but yeah. So I want to watch that one, but I'm really actually interested in that Rams game. I think that Rams game is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, that Rams Cardinals. Neither of those teams have really done me too many favors so far this season. So I guess it'll be almost a desperation battle, right? I mean, it's one of those games where you can use both of these teams are in a must-win game right now. So that definitely kind of brings out some offense, brings out the play calling. So I'm not going to disagree with you too much right there.
Yeah, who would have guessed that before the season we'd see a 40.5 total on that game? Right? Usually you're thinking a lot higher total, but with how the struggles on both sides of the offenses, 40.5 in a matchup with these two offenses is wild to me. But yeah, it'll be one that I think we're gonna watch. Actually, the spread just went down on DraftKings like 2 seconds ago, so maybe we see some Stafford news. It should be interesting there. Oh my God! All right, Tim, I might have to mute you, my friend. McCarthy is not the reason they got a ring. I'm telling you right now, that dude is an absolute trash coach. I don't care what everybody says. He's a trash coach. We have Jay bringing up the plant. I know that's the first time I think we've seen that one in a while.
It's a big success for me. Earlier on my prize pick show, I had the Washington flag in clear view, and now I'm in another location and I have a great plant display right here. So it's a great day for me.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know we had some technical difficulties on the starting time today. So, oh my God, Tim, I can't even listen to you. I'm not spoiled. You can even ask my boy Dan in here. I literally will tell you how it is. I really don't have a super hard bias towards my teams, which is why I never bet on them. I literally just tell you how it is. I already told you the Packers weren't going to be good this year. So I did say that from the beginning. So yeah. Let's oh wow. Okay. We have even Murray now. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that he was injured now too. Jesus Christ. Everybody's hurt now everywhere. So yeah.
Who's the backup over there? Does anybody in the chat know who's the backup over there? That sounds like a real shit show.
McCoy? Is McCoy there?
He was a while back. I don't know if he's still there, but
I'm curious who that is.
McSwirly, maybe the
He was
running
old
guy?
Baltimore, right?
He was okay. Someone should just find this out so we can stop guessing random backups. But
Jesus, it's gonna be. Imagine Stafford and him are out, dude. What a game!
I would actually watch it. I would be more likely to watch it if that were the case. If both of them sat out, I love those kind of shit show games, especially for props too. But yeah, no, that's it. Okay, that does definitely change things, though. I mean, Kyler Murray is obviously a huge part of that offense right there. Oh, Colt's still the backup.
Colt McCoy and McSorley are back.
We were both right.
Oh my God, I did not think we were either one of us were right, but Jesus Christ. Oh man.
Fire up McSwirly rush yards, baby. Over 22.5 or something like that. Guy can run, but he probably wouldn't start. It'd probably be Colt. But
it's so disgusting. So disgusting. But yeah, let's we got 10 minutes in, about 20 of you guys in here. If you guys are in here, smash the like button while you're at it. And you ready to go right at it? I don't think we have any questions in here. So yeah, no questions yet. If you guys do have any, drop them in the chat and we will get those answered for you. So let's kick it to you first. Since I see Dan is listening, we'll start out with you and kick it over there.
Yep, I was on Fields rush yards last week, and then I ended up being on rushing plus passing too towards the end of the week. And luckily, rushing definitely did the heavy lifting last week. 187 rush yards, a career Super Bowl era career high for, or sorry, a high for anybody in the Super Bowl era right here for Fields with 187 last week. I don't think that's going to happen again, but we really do. I think the Lions are probably the best matchup in football. I really do. I mean, that defense has been targetable all season long, and not just in your regular metrics like points allowed and stuff like that. It's really explosive plays, stuff like that, where guys are just absolutely torching them. What I like about Fields here is that he's proving over these last 5 weeks, just like the past the prop units, he is trending upwards, right? We kind of gave up on Fields last season a little bit. You know, people were, oh, he's a bust, blah, blah, blah. As he gets more comfortable in this system, he is looking more and more impressive every single week. And he's doing it through the air in some games. He's doing it on the ground in some games. But he's hit this in 4 of his last 5 games coming in right here. And his one miss was, obviously very close. But if he can just hit that 150 passing yards mark against the Lions defense, I really do think he can get a huge explosive running game as well right here. So it's one of those situations where I just like both stats so much. I was thinking about just playing rush yards. It obviously cashed for me last week. I just think we get a guy that's trending upwards in an ideal matchup right here. So I really couldn't resist this one. I love Justin Fields this week.
Yeah, no, I mean he's the talk of the town right now everywhere. I mean everywhere you're looking, he's the guy. But yeah, I mean, even the Packers with how bad their offense was, if you take away those 2 end zone picks, right? They're down in the red zone. Like the yardage was there, and like that's all you care about here. Like obviously the score was lower. I think that obviously helps your prop here because imagine if the Packers would have put 40 on them, this would probably be way, way higher. So I think that actually helps. But yeah, I mean, the yardage is always there. I don't even call them a bend don't break team because they still do give up the points. So yeah, I think this is it's a great spot. I'm surprised it's this low, to be honest.
It's one of those situations too where what I really love is a play that's game script agnostic, right? It doesn't matter if they're winning, if they're losing, if they're crushing, if they're getting crushed. Fields is going to be running the ball no matter what, right? And there's obviously going to be a certain amount of passing as well. So I really do feel like this is one of those spots that it really doesn't matter how this game kind of turns out. Fields just has so many different ways to get there.
Yeah, I'm curious. My only thing, I think the only thing I would even have as any sort of rebuttal is like they didn't even give Herbert any work last week, and maybe they kind of tilt that up against this terrible run defense because he only had 3 touches, which is after back-to-back 15-point fantasy performances. I might be a little more curious, but that could also be a pass too because we've seen him from the screen game. So that's my only thing. When I was seeing all the Justin Fields stuff earlier in the week, I'm like, are they going to really run him this much, or is it going to start seeing Herbert come back to life? But, I mean, you got 3 dudes who can run the ball very well in this offense. So I don't have any issues with that at all. And I did see someone in the chat actually bring up my first play. I actually am on Travis Kelce over 78.5. I did see somebody mention it. Let's see who that was. I saw someone mention Kelce. It's Darius there. Awesome. Yep, you're exactly right. That's going to be my spot. First off, let's just talk about this target share, dude. 31%. Travis Kelce with a 31% for a tight end. That is absurd. First off, let me just get that out of there. Second, let's look at these numbers here. 10 receptions last game on 17 targets. In these last 5 games, he has yet to be under 8 targets. Like this dude is literally just getting peppered with the football. McCole Hardman, I saw, did not practice again today, so might be down another guy. I know we always talk about like how we find plays and what comes around and what we're looking at here. And this is a spot where I think that you're not gonna know that Jacksonville's not that good against tight ends unless you actually dig into their past game logs. Like you have to go into it because if you look at it, they're actually like 15th in yards allowed to tight end, which I'm like, okay, that's average, right? But it's only on 4.5 targets per game to tight ends. Let's take a look at these teams that they've played with tight ends that are actually capable of catching a football. Dolchich, 87. Moreau, second string, had 42, right? Goddard was 72. In those other games, right, they played Houston twice. I don't even know who we could name as their tight end, right? They played New York Giants with no Bellinger because he was hurt. who's their tight end? Don't even know, right? Indy, they're throwing that random rookie out there, and he still caught a touchdown on these guys. So they're not good, right? It's just like they just haven't had anybody really play them that is good, right? And if you look at like I said, the three dudes that have played these guys, they've cooked them, right? Dolchich literally just cooked them, and he did all that on one drive when Russ is like, hey, let's pass the ball. Because they ran it the whole game and only took him one drive to cook this number. So obviously he's number one in receptions, number one in yards, pretty much every statistical category for tight ends. Travis Kelce is at the top. Mahomes is looking at him. It's a 9-point spread. Yes, that's a little scary, but we always talk about it. The Kansas City Chiefs are not going to run the clock out. These guys will throw just like the Bills till there's like 5 minutes left in the game. And I think Kelce is just going to absolutely cook this number. Obviously last week, 100 yards 2 weeks ago. 98 yards week before that, 108. So this dude is absolutely electric right now. Not getting into the end zone, which is a little bit frustrating for my year-long bet of leading the league in touchdowns, but his yards have ticked up and definitely getting a little bit more like yards per catch here, around 13.9 yards per catch for Kelce over the last 3 weeks. I like to see that. I think this is an actual smash spot for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I really like what you did right there too, because a lot of times it's really easy for any of us, right? When we're scrolling, when we're doing our research, just to say, oh, 15th middle of the pack versus tight end, that's okay. That's not a target spot, but comparable players matter a lot more. Like you said, I mean, the Giants tight end was Tanner Hudson that week, and the Texans was Jordan Brevin for 2 of those weeks. So exactly what you said, those guys really weigh it down. And it's easy to forget that guys like Dallas Goedert, whose line was probably 39, had 70 receiving yards, So I love what you're saying right there. For me, the only thing is blowout in this game, like you mentioned. But if Jacksonville can keep it close enough, then this is a 100+ yard spot for Kelce right here. So really love the play.
Yeah, no, this just seems low. It just, I mean, I guess I get it if you look at like the numbers for Jacksonville there, but dude, Kelce's the number one. Dolchich, you could possibly say, is their third option. Moreau at the time was their second or third option at best. Goddard's still the third option or second 2.5 option. And now you're going to get a guy who's like a legitimate number one option there. It just baffled me to see this line under 80. Let's take a look here before we go into our Taylor fade section. We got a couple guys in here asking some questions here. I know you're a huge guy on Kenneth Walker. Do you have any thoughts on his under longest reception or his under receiving? I mean, we always know this dude is literally just running the ball, and that's ideal situation for him. So is this a spot you've possibly looked at or anything here?
It's interesting because out of Michigan State obviously wasn't catching too many passes at all over there, but we've seen them. Homer's the guy, right? Homer is the pass catching back. He'll be there on long third downs and he'll be there on the 2-minute drill. So that's always good for the under, right? When we know Kenneth Walker won't be out there for the 2-minute drill, those easy check downs, but they still have been using him a good amount. I see he listed that they give up the least amount of yards to the running back through the air, which is definitely a historical change from the past, right? Where they've given up a lot more because their D-line has been so dominant. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd feel great about the under. I think it's under longest reception actually could be a really interesting one because running backs normally, especially like Kenneth Walker, aren't getting like designed plays. So it's normally a dump down. But just the fact that they do still use him, even though that's not kind of his natural role, does scare me a little bit right there. So I probably wouldn't be rushing to play the under, especially because I am just worried about that D-line still kind of showing up and stuffing Walker at the line. And if that does happen in the first half, I could see a lot more creative play calling in the second half where they get him the ball in space, on screens, on motion, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think I've ever looked at a Kenneth Walker reception prop. It's always been carries or yards there. He also brings up Strogi's bringing up thoughts on Dalton Schultz. I don't know if you know this, but the Packers are actually number one in the league against the tight end. Obviously, that's not like big with the teams they've played, right? They played Minnesota, right? They played Chicago now. Jets. I mean, there's some decent tight ends in there. But nothing too crazy, but they still are number one. They have pretty decent coverage linebackers. It's just been the running game that's there. I think that the running game is the spot to attack this defense. I would probably do receptions, if anything, on Schultz, because what they've been giving up is those stupid little, like, the play action with the tight end coming around the other side, just those little dump offs for like 5 to 6 yards. So if it's like 3.5 receptions at plus money, I'd probably take it. But yeah, right now, if you just look at it historically, they've only allowed 4.2 targets to the tight ends and only 2.9 receptions. So
24 yards also. What I just checked, where did that? I didn't know that. Why are you guys so good against the tight end? What's going on?
But the linebackers are good coverage linebackers. We got good coverage linebackers. They're not able to tackle as well just because they're quick enough to stay with all these guys. And that's why we get cooked when these guys can just get to the second level. These linemen can just crush them here. Ton of injuries here. If Campbell's out again, I don't know why they pass the ball. Honestly, I really don't. I think that they'll be just able to run it right down. And yeah, they're actually very good against tight end, like I said.
No, that they're like, yeah, because I was going to argue with you. I was going to step back and say Schultz, because Schultz and Dak have a great relationship. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Their numbers together are great. And I went to go check my numbers real quick, too, while you were saying that. I noticed they're like way better. Like they're 24 receiving yards per game to tight ends. That's 8 better than the second best team against tight ends. So that's enough to scare me off.
I think it might be more. I think it might be like 12 or 13 better.
Yeah. So that's okay. Well, I appreciate you educated me right there too, because maybe I'll have to look for a streamer for tight end this week too in fantasy. We'll see.
Yeah, your best bet is playing the number 2 receiver. Your best bet against them for receiving wise is number 2 receiver or running back. So it's really your best bet to go against the Packers. All righty. I think there was one more. Was there one more? Yep. Trevor Lawrence. Anybody have thoughts on Trevor Lawrence rushing yards? Is at 20.5. I do see a lot of rushing attempts here, and his scramble opportunities will increase. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs right now I think their defense is averaging like the opposing team to have 70% of their plays as passing plays, which is number 1 in football. Obviously, they usually start pretty fast as well, which is something I always look for. So, yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on this? Kansas City, 7th best in the NFL in points in the first half. Could definitely see the Jaguars falling behind early here.
Yeah, I agree with that logic right there. I like what you said about the most plays in the league being dropbacks. That definitely would mean more scrambles. The only thing I'm worried about is normally for a number like 20.5, you need a good amount of designed runs. You probably need 3 or 4 just to have that reliably in there. Most of his designed runs either come at the goal line or in 3rd and 1 situations where that's really only a 1-yard pickup. So for me, I would be looking at rush attempts whenever that comes out, just because I do think his designed runs are meant to really only gain 1 or 2 yards.
Perfect. All righty. I don't see any more questions in there. If you guys do have any more, drop them in there. 40 of you guys in here. We appreciate every single one of you guys joining us on your Friday afternoon. Let's get to our Pickett Taylor fade section. We got a guy who's really been a mainstay in the most bet option all year. Josh Jacobs over 83.5. Las Vegas is absolutely decimated with injuries here. Is this the spot you want to go to?
You know, at first I was kind of like, why is Jacobs the most popular guy? But then I remembered Waller, Renfro, both out for the next 4 weeks. That means we're going to see a lot more of Josh Jacobs. And we've already been seeing a lot of Josh Jacobs. So to be completely honest, I can't give you guys a great reason to fade. The Colts defense is the reason, right? The Colts do have a good run defense. The personnel is there. It's just about volume, right? I mean, it's a great run defense, but how does that stack up against 23 carries, right? Because you could be a great run defense and allow 23 for 88. You know, that's just volume. So at the end of the day, I'm just going to have to trust the volume right here, even though the matchup isn't the greatest. And I'm going to tail the public right here.
Yeah, no, I've actually been pretty good on picking Jacobs going off games and his crap games. I think I have to take the over too. I just can't think that Indy's going to be able to get ahead of this game. There's nothing offensively that I think they're going to be able to do that well. Taylor's coming back, but I'm skeptical still. I mean, he's never really been a guy who's gotten hurt before, so it's like this could be them trying to rush him back because of just how bad this offense is. I just saw that their coach came out and said, or might have been the GM, that it's not even or it's not a close competition, but it's not particularly close between Ellinger and Ryan. And I'm like, what would it take for him to be close? Matt Ryan at least gave you a chance to win games. If you're really wanting to win games now, like I don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, Maybe Ellinger gets a little bit better as we go on here. Vegas's defense isn't anything too crazy, but yeah, I have to take the over here just because I think he's going to get 3.5 to 4 yards a carry, maybe pop one off, and we're already at 85 on like 3.8 yards. It's like just so much volume here. It's tough to pass. Darius is bringing up another question. I will actually kick it to your second play first, and then we'll talk about it because it's absolutely a perfect transition here. And I think you're going to talk about this a little bit.
Yep, I'm going to Amari Cooper over 62.5 receiving yards, -115 over at MGM. I also believe Prize Picks has 61. So just a 1 point better for you guys out there. I'll start off just by reading my notes at the beginning of the week, and I think we can all kind of come to the same conclusion off of it. When looking into this Dolphins defense, right? Third least rush yards per game. That puts them at 6th in success rate in the league, but 28th, 29th in success rate against the success rate and EPA per drop back. So essentially, they're one of the best rush defenses in football and one of the worst pass defenses as well. Additionally, when you look back at some of these guys again in their career, Jacoby Myers is actually great against the blitz. A lot of these quarterbacks that come in backups, they really struggle. His EPA per play actually increases rather than decreases against the blitz. So that's good. Miami's a blitz heavy, man-to-man coverage heavy team. Additionally, Amari Cooper has also been great in his career against man-to-man coverage, seeing an increase in both targets and yards per route run. So I think this is a situation where Cooper finds himself in a fabulous matchup right here. This is one of those, I don't do the ladder thing too often, but I'll without a doubt be placing 100 plus receiving yards. I have him for 110 this week and a touchdown, which we'll touch on a little bit later. Spoiled it. Oops, that was an accident, but that's okay. I think Amari Cooper absolutely smashes right here. And I didn't even mention, obviously, leads this team in target share, in air yard share, all those fun stats. He is number one. He's clearly the number one wide receiver, and I think he finds himself in a great matchup. Darius mentions Peoples-Jones as well, 43 receiving yards. I do like Peoples-Jones, but I would say I would much rather target the longest reception prop for him. He's one of those guys, I don't want to have to depend on him to get 3 to 4 catches a game. He's running a lot of deep routes. I'd rather just go longest reception. Final thing, David Njoku is out. We're not respecting that enough. The books are not respecting that enough whatsoever. This opened at 60 with Njoku out. It should have moved to 65, 66. It didn't. This is a guy that was almost passing Cooper in target share, right? He was almost taking that role as the number one option on offense before he went out and got injured. So I really don't think we're respecting him being out enough in this one as well. I think it opens up more opportunities for everyone. So smash spot for Amari Cooper this week.
Yeah, Miami second worst against the tight end as well, which is obviously very, very important here. That all has to go somewhere, right? Obviously, it can't just evaporate. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited for that play for you. Obviously, I don't really expect them to start running the ball more than they have, right? So they're really a team that's going to have to throw the ball in this game. You're going to have to score with Miami. So I don't think Cleveland's going to be able to keep up otherwise. I'm going to kick it over to you for this play here that Paul is bringing up. I know you've bet on this one before. I have a few times, but Mahomes has a rushing yards prop at 22.5. Obviously, last game is a little bit different just because Tennessee stopped every single running back, right? So obviously the only way to really run the ball is with Mahomes in a matchup with Tennessee and in overtime too. So any thoughts here? I'm very neutral on this play. I probably wouldn't be the guy to ask. I think I wouldn't put it this just feels right.
Yeah, my only thing is I don't play quarterback rushing with the spread over 3-point favorites. I really am a big proponent, and quarterbacks run more when the moment is the biggest, right? When the game's on the line, when you're in a close situation and you have to put your body at risk to get those couple extra yards. If they're leading this game by 7, I think you'd rather check down, throw it out in some of these situations. You do bring up a good point, though, with Jacksonville. Quick pressure rate is obviously one of their strengths, so forcing him out of the pocket should naturally lead to some more scrambles. But personally, I don't do rush yards in situations where I think he may not have to too often. So I'll probably pass on this one.
Beautiful, beautiful. And my last play, another play that we've seen here on the show before, and I'm going right back to it. We got Tom Brady over 26.5 completions, almost plus money. But first off, I always talk about these with completions. I talk about, is the team going to get ahead or are they going to fall behind? Let's just look at how good Seattle has been in the first halves this year. These dudes are sitting third, right? Number one, Philadelphia, right? I mean, obviously that's obvious. Buffalo, 2. Sitting in the third spot is this Seattle team, right? Seattle has been scoring the ball early and often at 14.8 points per game early on. And guess who's probably bottom 5, right? Tampa, right? They only score in the second half. That's really the only time they score, right? They only average 7.8 first half points so far this season. And let's just listen to what the coaches said last time, right? We need to run the ball more, right? That's what they said before last game. They threw the ball 58 times. They literally came out and said we're going to run it more, and then almost threw the ball 60 times in this game, right? Tom Brady's going to have to throw this ball around. Chris Godwin is hobbled, but he's finding a way to play. His average depth of target, I think, is negative at this point. Jesus, the dude literally just runs screens. Looking at how Seattle does against receiving running backs, because that's obviously a very important point to get. They're averaging 7.1 targets and 6.1 receptions to running backs. And you have 2 running backs here that pretty much are there to be receivers. They're not really trying to run the ball, right? Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette are there to catch passes. You have the ability for a deep threat over the top with Mike Evans. Cade Otton, again, is running like 5 yards for a route right now. It's crazy. These dudes are just getting it out of their hand quick. I think the line will do a little bit better this week than they did last week. But Tom Brady's going to be the focal point here. Everybody's now thinking Tampa Bay has a chance, right? Which I don't. But the only way they are going to have a chance is for Tom Brady to have the ball and throw it around and just spread the wealth around here. Some ridiculous numbers for pass attempts this year. He's at 398 pass attempts already. That is unbelievable. And he's sitting at a 67% completion percentage. We're seeing 25 or more completions in 7 of the last 9 games. This is nuts. This is just absolutely nuts how much he throws the football. But they have no other option. They can't run. Fournette's getting like 3 yards a pop. Rachaad White's showing a little bit of burst, but they'd rather have him catching screens. It's just Tom Brady's going to have to throw the ball in this game, and I see no other way around.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, when you played 25 the first time, I was like, whoa, this feels a little bit high, but the more you explained it, it obviously ended up being great. And I feel the same way here, right? Where at first glance, it might be a little bit high, but truly, I mean, Brady, this team can't run right now. Like you said, they literally can't. Fournette is running into a brick wall over and over and over again. And to kind of melody that, they're check down, Fournette, Auden. To me personally, when you said at the beginning, right, what's your favorite game of the week? This is a primetime game, so I didn't want to mention it. It'll be in the morning. We'll all be watching. I might have the most bets in this one, and a lot of them, too, will be kind of Brady recipients, right? I loved Cade Auden coming into this week, but unfortunately, I think Cameron Brate is going to be coming back this week, which kind of messes it up. But yeah, I love all these guys. I love Auden, Brate. They'll all eat Fournette. And I really like Chris Godwin, too. You mentioned him being injured. And yeah, that's pretty annoying, honestly. But what Woolen has been doing on the outside has been something, right? He handled Hopkins last week, which is something I wasn't expecting. And what that ended up meaning was just tons of check down to Rondo more over the middle. I think Godwin will serve in that same exact role this week. So love this spot. Will 100% be tailing you. And I might even pair it up with maybe a nice little parlay with Godwin as well.
Yeah, I just can't. Dude had 36 completions last week and couldn't even break 300. Dude, he had like 4.8 yards per pass. It's nuts, dude. That's so bad, so inefficient. Obviously, they won the game, so maybe they just think, hey, this has got to work, right? So I just couldn't believe it when I looked at his numbers there.
You remember Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, St. Brown combo at the tail end of last season, where it's just those guys in Swift? That's what that reminds me of. Check down, just over and over and over again.
Tim bringing up a good point. He's just bringing up the actual number for us. We appreciate that. I know that's the spot you preferred. Paul, you're being bold for us, man. This is a bold spot. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't even know if Jimmy G throws the ball 20 times in this game.
The Chargers can't defend the run. They can't.
Exactly.
They've tried so hard. And now we have Christian McCaffrey coming in and possibly, running the ball 22 times this game. Yeah. I like Jimmy G. He'll hit those check downs, but yeah, this feels like much more of a running back kind of game. And the funny thing is every time we go, oh, but the Chargers are going to know they're going to run the ball, right? They're going to come prepared. I'm tired of that argument. They never come prepared. I always think the Chargers are going to figure it out. They don't. So I like McCaffrey more than Jimmy G in that one.
27.7 points per game fantasy-wise allowed to running backs. That is obnoxious. I'm hoping I'm not playing McCaffrey this week. I don't think I am, so thank God. Unfortunately, I am playing Saquon in 2 leagues, and he is going against the worst, so that's very nice. Paul bringing up another spot here. Davis Mills over 2.5 rushing yards. Oh, I don't know. That's ugly.
Yeah, we're getting real down in the dumps for that one right there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that to me that feels like a coin flip, right? Does he probably scramble for 3 yards? Yeah, probably, but also if he got 1 rush yard or 0, I wouldn't be surprised. So I really can't give a good informed opinion on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I say this all the time is the books have to put out plays for everything. You do not have to bet them all. I will not be touching a game play in that besides maybe Saquon Barkley. There won't be anything else I look at in that game because it is just going to be so ugly. All right, we still got 35 of you guys in here. We appreciate all you guys for sticking with us. We are almost to our touchdown parlay. Let's do our quick recap here. If you guys do have questions, drop them in before obviously we get to the end there. But I'll kick it to you first to start us off with your recap, and then we'll get to our touchdown.
Sounds good. Going over to Justin Fields, 239 passing plus rushing yards, minus 115 over on MGM. Then staying on MGM, we're going to Amari Cooper, over 62.5 receiving yards, minus 115. And I will be laddering this one up to at least 100, and maybe they'll let me go a little bit higher, maybe 120 for a little sprinkle too. And then Taylor fade, I've got to trust the public, trust the volume right here. I'll be tailing Josh Jacobs.
Beautiful. I'll be going over 78.5 receiving yards for Travis Kelce with Tom Brady, over 26.5 completions at minus 104. And I will be tailing as well in this spot for Josh Jacobs. I think we've hit 2 of our last 3 or 2 of our last 4 of the times we've gone for our touchdown parlay when it has been just us 2 on the NFL show here. Yep. Pretty big odds for us on these spots. So I will kick it over to you, almost plus 700 here.
Yeah, so I made this one over on DK, and it was like plus 500. But if you go over to Caesars, you get the nice plus 670 right here. I'm going to Amari Cooper. I touched on a little bit earlier. His touchdown production has been very good. I believe coming in with the touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games, I want to say. And it's just one of those situations where I'm obviously projecting him to have a huge game. There's now no David Njoku, who's a huge red zone presence on that team as well. I just think Cooper goes off. I think at plus 170, that's just a bad price. I would have it probably plus 105, maybe even money. So to be able to get that extra 70 points on a guy that I think is going to have a great week in a game that I think is going to have a ton of points scored, it was just an easy click, especially with how good that run defense is.
Beautiful. And I'm going to be on Chris Olave, and
love it.
My God, Pittsburgh sucks against receivers. It is ungodly how many fantasy points they give up to these dudes. 1.6 touchdowns per game allowed to receivers. Can we name another receiver on this roster besides Jarvis Landry? Jesus, they're going to be playing Marquez Callaway. They're going to be playing, I don't even know who else after that. Like it's so ugly, dude. This is such an ugly receiving core without Michael Thomas in there. Obviously, Jarvis Landry is, I think, probable, but the dude's hurt every other game. Obviously not 100% here, but my God, they're just bleeding points to wide receivers so far this year. Olave hasn't scored in 3 straight games. I think that changes this week in these games that they're going to have to throw that ball around. I think that this is one of them. I think Pittsburgh's going to be able to stay close in this one. I think I actually kind of like Kenny Pickett in DraftKings this week as a low-end flyer if you're looking for some crazy points there. But especially with that Miami game, you're going to have to pay up for some of those big guys. That might be a spot to go to. But I do like Pickett this week a little bit more than his price tag indicates over there. But, man, sign me up for Olave. This defense is absolute crap.
Yeah, I like that combo. And I think this might be one of those. Maybe I'll sprinkle both of these guys right here to lead the week in receiving yards, too. Just exactly what you said with Olave having the potential to absolutely destroy this secondary. So I like the spot. I feel like we're getting great odds at plus 670 right here.
Yeah, no, this should be fun. I think Olave's in for a pretty big one here. I've been taking Tyreek every single week, and I've been doing pretty well on that, but it's getting to like plus 200. Plus 275 now. And I'm like, that's just out of all these big time dudes, like how can you take it at that price? Like I was getting like 1 p.m. games, top receiver at like plus 350. And I'm like, that's good. But now it's like to lead the NFL this week in receiving, it's like plus 350. And it's like, dude, come on. Give me some more. Give me a little bit more action here. I would throw some more money on it. But I mean, you can't fault them. They're probably getting tired of getting absolutely nuked from Tyreek Hill numbers here. So looks like, I mean, good transition from Tyreek over to Waddle here. Any thoughts on Jalen Waddle over 24.5 longest reception? I mean, this could be, we've talked about it being a shootout.
This was on my radar. This is like bright starred on my notes, so I definitely like it. I should have played it last week and I didn't, and it obviously hit. Two, and it was 23 everywhere this morning, so it's moved up a point. The only place that's still 23 is Barstool. So if you have Barstool, obviously use that one. But I like it. I do. I need to do a little bit more research overall, just on the explosive plays on the other defense, but just the way they're operating this offense. You can't stop Tyreek Hill, but you have to try, right? Like you have to try to slow him down. And that takes so much away from your defense. And Waddle really has been the deep threat, right? Like Hill gets like 1 50-yard pass a game, but mostly the rest of it is a lot of screen games, a lot of short yardage, and letting him do it himself. So I do think Waddle is a great spot right here. I just need to do find a couple more notes before I officially bet it, but I do like this one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys probably already know this. I will be betting Tyreek Hill over again until he fucks me over. But shout out to the books for giving me the same line as last week, right? For the 85.5, but they moved it up to 93.5. And this is something I did want to say before we do our shout outs before we head out here. This reminds me of when our third show ever when we did NFL last year, where Mahomes just kept getting up to like, they wouldn't put him higher than like 305, right? They just wouldn't because it's just too high. And they're like, nobody's going to keep betting the over. I'm like, I will keep hammering the over and I would take it up to 315. And they just kept moving it up a little bit. But once it gets to 90, like you're not going to bet on a guy to get 100 yards, right? Once it's to 100, like everybody's be like, oh, we're going to take the under. But 93, that's like getting to that point where people are thinking, man, this is getting pretty high. But how do you go away from it, dude? This guy's chasing history, right? I mean, I think that you got to keep riding in the wave here. Tua is literally, him and Waddle have over I think it's like 55% of the target share in this offense, which is awesome for like betting purposes and DFS purposes because the target share is so condensed. I think Gesicki's 3 with like 12%. It's crazy. So, I mean, I would probably take the over just because I do believe that they're going to have to double or at least try to double team Tyreek Hill, even though it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, and both of them have been eating, right? I mean, the other week you had Hill on your card, I had Waddle. They both hit. Same with last week. So if we're going to expect them to keep putting up Madden numbers, then these guys are going to keep cashing right here.
Perfect. Well, appreciate you, Paul. Appreciate the kind words. And let's get to our shout outs. And before we head out here, what do you got for us, Stu, before we head out for week 10 already, NFL stuff?
Yeah, shout out to everyone on Prize Picks. Whoa, did a Prize Picks prop show earlier. That's a little accidental plug right there. I was going to say, shout out to everyone over on Pickett. I got over 1,000 followers the other day, which is pretty cool. So when I posted the link over there, I also posted a Prize Picks NBA play that I put some cash on earlier today. So obviously, Prize Picks, I keep messing this up. Pickett has tons of great stuff. They've got the bet tracker. They've got the social features. So if you guys like the show, you want to get more from both of us because we're both over there all the time, then use code PTP when you sign up. It's a completely free app, obviously bet tracking, all that kind of stuff. You can tailor fade the public yourself. And with code PTP, they'll send you between $3 and $100 for doing absolutely nothing. So I like free money. You like free money. Hopefully we can make you guys some money this week and then, get a little bit more free money. Why not?
Yeah, no, I gotta check how many. I haven't checked how many followers over there. I'm at 980. We're gonna have to get to that 1,000, so we're getting there too. So yeah, shout out to those guys for obviously sponsoring Taylor Fade for us. But yeah, super excited for week 10. Like I said, 4 straight profitable shows for our Friday shows, which is awesome. And we're already trying to keep adding on to those double-digit winners. Right, so far this year we're hitting pretty good percentage. Obviously hit a few of the touchdown parlays, which definitely help out with that. But yeah, appreciate all you guys for tuning in. We still got 35 of you guys in here 45 minutes later, which is awesome. So thank you guys again. We'll be back Monday. Obviously we'll talk if we're going to do NBA or NFL. We might just do a poll like we did this past week because NBA seems to have a pretty big action on Mondays. So yeah, make sure you're following us over on Twitter so you guys know and can vote on what we're going to be talking about on Monday. But with that, we're heading out for week 10. Best of luck, guys. If you need any of the recap or anything, make sure you go like 3 minutes ago. We have all of the plays that we ran down and ran through there. So any other questions, drop them in the comments after the show, and we'll get to them. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck, and let's crush week 10.